time to look at the headlines in Nigerian newspapers today. With me in the studio is journalist Dario Dufowokon. Dario, nice to see you. And I also have with me public affairs analyst Shijibomi Adebi Bennett. Shijibomi, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you all both in the studio.
Things are getting better.
All right, yeah, things are getting better. All right. Now, let's start from the Blueprint newspaper now. Blueprint newspaper says Buhari advocates 15-month time limit for court cases. Buhari advocates 15-month time limit for court cases, laments delayed trials, conflicting judgments, and $201 million recovered, loot plowed into infrastructure. Malami is saying this. And the executive orders Nigeria's route to dictatorship. Ekweremadu is saying this. Okay, all that on the front page of the Blueprint. Daily Times is next. All set for reopening of Enugu Airport Terminal building and others. Okay, it's really interesting to know. All set for reopening of Enugu Airport Terminal building and others. All right, News Direct is next now. News Direct says Nigeria economy will rebound in third quarter. Presidency assures Nigerians on this. All right, Nigeria economy will rebound in third quarter. Presidency assures as the Federal Executive Council approves 722.3 million naira for 8 field auditors, and that's for the NDDC. Okay, all that on the front page of the News Direct. Leadership newspaper. This is focusing on the exam malpractice. Federal government begins a crackdown on miracle centers, so-called miracle centers, as WAEC arrests 2 supervisors on 1 candidate. Why candidates didn't sit for BECE, NECO is saying this, and Rivers denies withdrawal from NECO sponsorship. A presidential visitation panel to Unilag inaugurated. Okay, I guess this topic will interest Nigerians as well as my guests in the studio, especially seeing that students are preparing or writing, their exams right now. Okay, that's the leadership newspaper. National economy is next. CBN seeks public-private sector collaboration to tackle exporters' challenges and calls for creation of export policy board. Zenith Bank MD urges export diversification to solve forex issues. All that on the front page of the national economy. Daily Trust is next now, and the last one we're looking at right now. Buhari seeks conclusion of criminal cases in 12 months. Less than 2,000 judges for 155,757 pending cases. Whoa. We can meet president's expectations, and lawyers are assuring the president there. All right, we're calling that the conference of lawyers just held, or is just holding. Okay, that's Daily Trust. Well, let's get to our topic of discussion now, Dari and Shijibomi. The story on the front page of the leadership newspaper that talks about exam malpractices. The headline here says federal government begins a crackdown on miracle centers. Dari, let me start with you here. Miracle centers, the past 1 or 2 decades has drawn us close to understanding what miracle centers are, where the moment you register in a certain center to write your exam, you know you're passing, because maybe you're favored by the monies you pay or something else. Make us understand from this headline.
There are no maybes there. Miracle centers, it regards to examinations and education in Nigeria, simply means examination centers where you pay to pass. It doesn't matter whether you are prepared for the examination or not. The moment you register your ward or your child or yourself in those special centers, that's another name for it, special center, you are assured of success in the examination. How? That's the issue now. It is not as if when you are registered, you are specially trained or prepared for the examination. No. It is that once the examination starts, it is either the answers are given to you to copy from the board, or someone is arranged to even sit for the exam for you in these centers. And how you begin to wonder how this will happen under the watch
Or you are allowed to bring some
materials
extra materials into.
No restrictions, no supervision. Currently, the WAEC examination is going on, and this is on national TV. I tell you, there are centers where there are no WAEC supervisors.
And they're writing the WAEC?
Yes. I visited one yesterday.
Okay.
When people told me it's within my community, that the center there, no supervisor, no either external or internal. And then you get there, the halls are packed full. And in fact, the exam is even being written in the church building. The school is here, the church is here. I think the owners are both. And students are also writing exam in the church building.
In the church hall?
Right in that church hall. Answers are being read out to students.
With the presence of Jesus Christ.
Jesus overlooking the incident. And you begin to wonder, where are the exam supervisors? Nowhere to be found. And then the teachers of this is a private school, are just the one in charge, and they are the one with the other collaborators carrying out this. And I can assure you that at the end of the day, if they are not discovered, nobody is arrested, the result of that school will be fantastic.
And then students will start trooping in.
And the other schools in the area will be seen as though they are not preparing their students enough. These are the dangers.
Chijibumi, the point there is, if from this headline, if what this headline says is anything to go by, federal government begins a crackdown. The point there is, it's not now we're hearing of issues of miracle or special centers, as he called it. These things have been around for the past few decades. Why now? Because the federal government cannot say they're not aware of these.
I think part of the problem is the structural and moral decadence in our polity. And like he said, there's no way WAEC staff can supervise all the schools in Nigeria. I was reading an article, and I think the WAEC PRO or one of the officials of WAEC said they have more than 2,000 schools where WAEC is ongoing, and they have just 19,000, I think, 127 staff. So that means they just have a little over 19,000 staff. So, and don't forget that some of those staff are not supposed to be field staff. Some of them are supposed to be in the administration of WAEC itself, in the headquarters, various headquarters in the country. So, having said that, how do you now have 19,000 to supervise over 20,000? Even if you want to push all of them out, the best you can get is 80% or 99% supervision. And
they don't have ad hoc staff or collaborative staff to assist
sorry,
them.
Let me add this. Yeah. When you look at the breakdown of the fees paid to WAEC, supervision fee is part of it. So the idea of not having enough staff does not come in. Right. It's like INEC. When they get ad hoc staff.
And just like JAM doesn't have all the. But the point there is, you get people
to get the job done
somewhere.
Okay.
So they recruit these ad hoc staff. Okay. So, and some of these ad hoc staff, they said they cannot vouch for their integrity. That is one. That's why I said the structural decadence and the moral decadence in our polity. Now, what do you do when you have that kind of situation? Because it's good to talk about the problem, but let's see how we can figure it out. What has JAM done? How have they been able to mitigate the problem? Now, what I think WAEC should be looking at, it's not just about Nigeria now, talking to the regional body, all the Western countries that make up WAEC. How can you do it in such a way that we have, what do they call this kind of test? The computer-based test.
Yeah.
Now, you can still set the same question, but you will reshuffle it. Question 10 is for this session, for this group of people, is question 7 for this group of people, is question 50 for that group of people. So even when you copy...
Or even different questions.
Different questions. So when you copy things, you get into the... You just get confused. Because 20 years ago, I was already in the University of Polytechnic, I can't remember now. I have a friend who couldn't even read or write. And he went to a small village to write WAEC, and he passed. This is somebody who could not read or write. So it has been happening for a long time. But if you had talked or advised that time, you are like, you don't want my progress. So, but these are the foundations of the decadence we have in the country. So in as much as we don't want to snitch, we don't want to annoy people, we want to support our friends, what is wrong is still wrong. So when I wrote WAEC, there were problems, but it wasn't like this.
All right. As we prepare to round off now, Dari, it is said that they seem to be a cartel or like a collection of some strong forces out there that, you know, coordinate these things. What do you see as a challenge towards...
The Miracle Center is big business, involving even staffers of WAEC itself, government functionaries, school owners, and some freelance educators. I call them freelance educators because they don't have schools, but every time there is an examination to be written, they're out there looking for people.
They're like contractors. Connecting.
Schools, they are looking for schools that need help, individual students that need help, even WAEC officials with jobs to be delivered. So until we get into this cartel, as you call it, dismantle it, and where do we start from? Like he said, we should profile solutions. WAEC should look inward. Look at the quality and integrity of the people they will recruit. Look at the involvement of its own staffers.
Even the process of administering the exam, like JAMB has done.
The process of administering the exam. Yeah. And even the process of conducting the exam. We can review all this and come out with something better.
All right, let's head straight to the papers now. And we begin with the blueprint. Buhari advocates 15-month time limit for court cases. Right, I said laments delayed trials, conflicting judgments. And then we move to the front page of the Daily Times, all set for reopening of Enugu Airport Terminal building, others. And to the front page of the News Direct, Nigeria economy will rebound in third quarter. Presidency assures as FEC approves 722.3 million naira for 8 field auditors. And then we'll move to the front page of the Leadership newspaper. Exam malpractice, federal government begins crackdown on miracle centers. As WAEC arrests 2 supervisors, 1 candidate. Why candidates then sit for BECE, NECO? Rivers denies withdrawal from NECO sponsorship. Presidential visitation panel to Unilag inaugurated. And on the front page of the National Economy, CBN seeks public-private sector collaboration to tackle exporters' challenges. Calls for creation of Export Policy Board. Zenith Bank Managing Director urges export diversification to solve forex issues. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Trust, still talking about the judicial reforms, Buhari seeks conclusion of criminal cases in 12 months. Less than 2,000 judges for 155,757 pending cases. We can meet president's expectations, lawyers. And that is the story we will be looking at this morning. The president, gentlemen, has been talking about judicial reform for some time now, and this call for urgent conclusion of cases has been on. Even last year, this was the same thing he also spoke about when the Nigeria Bar Association had its conference, and he's also reiterating it now. When you look at the timing that he is given, Dari, 12 to 15 months to resolve cases, how feasible is that?
Yeah, that's a year or more.
Yeah.
For 12 months or 15 months, that's a year or more. Ordinarily, except for the fact that things have not been working well in that sector, the judicial sector, a year is not too short to conclude any case. I am gladdened by the development, but the proviso says criminal cases. I quickly want to use the opportunity to appeal to Mr. President and those concerned in that sector to spread the dragnet beyond just criminal cases, because there are other issues beyond convicting a criminal and ensuring he gets he gets sent to jail or whatever. Take a look at electoral cases. which I don't know if they fall within the purview of criminal anyway.
I doubt that.
Which I doubt. A governorship election has been held, and we have to wait 2 years to know who actually the governor is. The sitting governor is battling a court case that may tomorrow prove that he is no longer in
The
office.
governor, yeah.
He has spent 2-3 years. Somebody else come and take a fresh 4 years. Who pays for the 2 years spent with
And the impact on the citizens.
state? Monies of government are spent on court cases. That is one. Two, let's come to the personal level. Somebody who goes to court to seek redress in an ownership tussle of maybe a building. This building is my own, and somebody is dragging it with me. I want the court to declare me the rightful owner. And that takes 10 years. We've heard of that. Land issues taking 20 years. Then the owner dies off. The children start, they continue the case. It should go beyond criminal cases. It should be that let's have a judicial system that works. And within a year, conclude all cases. Having said that, we should also look at our preparedness for this. The sector, how prepared it is. I read somewhere that you have less than 2,000 judges for
over 150,000 cases.
More than 100,000 cases.
150,000
pending cases. Meaning more cases will come. Then it will rise to like 200,000 cases for 2,000 judges. So what is the lesson there? The lesson there is that it should go beyond mere pronouncement. The government should also help that sector deliver on this mandate. It's a good mandate that will benefit all of us, but the sector should be helped to
be able to deliver.
To deliver on this mandate.
Shijibomi, I wonder what your observation is with regards to this. He's talking about the government helping that sector to be able to deliver on this mandate.
Yes, the government does not have any other choice than to help the judiciary to deliver. And I want to take it from where he stopped. I think the dragnet should include civil cases. And I'm also like, I have that kind of experience. I have a case of death that started in 2016 in Benin, and we're still on it.
Wow.
So when you have a situation whereby you know the beginning, but you don't know the end of your case, at a point in time, I think that was last year, I even told my lawyer to forget about it. But because the former judge that was handling it went on retirement after a 10-month adjournment, and we have to start from another younger magistrate. So that's the way the Nigerian system is. But I want to also give kudos to President Goodluck Jonathan. During his time, there was the ACJA Act, which dealt with the issue of the governorship tussle he talked about. So now it's 9 months maximum. Within 9 months, you know,
the case has to be resolved.
Has to be resolved. So, but the only thing is, lawyers are even trying to draft it to a situation whereby 3 months before election, you can have all those cases resolved, pre-election cases.
Yeah.
So then after the election, even before the swearing in, maybe 2 months before, you can also have all those things sorted. So we will have a situation whereby we don't spend public money on cases because, like some people will say, we will be ruling, the other people will be in court. So they will use state money to sponsor the court cases. So all these things are supposed to be put in perspective so that then the judiciary too should be helped. We should have more magistrates, more lawyers, and what are they? Justices of appeal or the Supreme Court, so that the justice can be fast. The judicial processes can be fast. Then we should try to automate, digitalize everything. During the lockdown.
But that had generated some arguments at some point.
Yes, but
during
the Supreme Court just
pandemic,
passed it now.
during the lockdown,
Yes.
there's been a back and forth with regards to that.
We had,
especially having witnesses
yes.
And all of it.
There was a session that I watched on TV, which was digital, which was via Zoom. They did a court case and a judgment was made. So people went to court. Even Lagos State, I think, was a plaintiff in that kind of case and said, this is not in the Constitution. And the Supreme Court quickly passed it. So we have seen a situation whereby cases that are very important to people, to parties, or to politicians, are quickly dispensed off. But when it comes to cases of the
ordinary citizen,
average man on the street,
and
they don't dispense
some
it on
people
time.
were advocating even special courts, especially for cases like rape and the likes, where at the time where there was a continuous
Yes,
increase.
you see, it all boils down to the same thing. We need to live where we are and go to where we ought to be. The idea of digitalizing the sector, it's long overdue. And I will go with, although lawyers, like you rightly said, kept arguing the possibility and acceptance of the virtual courtrooms. But if, for example, God forbid the COVID-19 thing persists, are we going to say we're going to ground the justice system? No. So if that will help take off some of the pending cases, it's a good idea. Then the idea of special courts for special issues. Rape, for example, is time-bound. When you begin to ask a woman who has been raped to keep coming to court 4 years after the incident, where are the evidences? Maybe she has even taken in and given birth to 2 children, and you are still alleging that she was raped 4 years ago. It destroys the evidence. Then she needs to move on with her own life. So there are certain things that requires, just like the election issues we talked about, and many other issues. Cases of robbery, where lives were lost, should not be delayed so that the family of the victims can also have a closure.
All right.
Once they have a closure, they move on with their life.
Okay, gentlemen, we're
sorry, if I may quickly add, it will also help the correctional systems. Because as at 2018, we had over 70,000 inmates. But over 70 of them were awaiting trial. So if we fast track all these things, we won't have over 50,000 people awaiting trial in
the correctional system. Thank you so much, Shijibumi Adebi Bennett, Dario Dufookon. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.